Question everything in pursuit of your purpose. Ask yourself, what if?
Well, thank you guys for joining us again for another Tuesday live episode of the What Are We Doing series with us here at Pursuit of Purpose. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And I'm going to let Chuck introduce our topic for the day. It's a single word topic, and then we're going to get off into what we're going to connect to that topic.
That word is truth.
Truth. So oftentimes, sadly, we seem to get the word truth confused with the word fact.
Oh.
Because I will argue that the truth and facts don't match all the time.
Okay.
People refer to facts. Oh, that's just the facts. Well, the truth is a fact is a recount of the history from the person who recounted it, their perspective.
Okay.
The truth's just the truth.
Truth is just the truth.
The truth is an irrefutable, evidentiary supported thing.
Yes.
Whether it be a statement or a color or whatever it is,
Right.
The truth's just the truth. It's not a matter of perspective.
Right.
It's not my truth. It's not your truth. It is just the
It
truth.
is the truth.
But a fact is always based on perspective.
Okay.
Is there any way to see
No.
it other than that?
No, if I'm presenting the facts, there's still going to be a bit of an interpretive component there. But truth is truth.
So we the people have to decide where we place our value.
Yes.
Do we place our value in truth?
Well, we should.
Because we tout facts.
Yes.
We as a people, we as a society, we love to get online. We love to get on social media. We love to get on the phone. We love to text. We love to say facts.
Yes.
It is a fact that you did this. It's a fact that so-and-so said that. But what's the truth? Because I can take somebody's words with the grand features that we have these days with technology and editing. And I mean, we could have done this 30 or 40 or 50 years ago too. You could take a voice recording of somebody and chop and splice that voice recording until it says completely the opposite of whatever message they were saying.
Right.
But nowadays we have augmented reality.
Yes.
We have AI. And with AI, you could take this, what we're doing right now, screen record it, and make us say all kinds of bizarre stuff.
Yes. And folks are doing it often.
Yeah.
They are taking bits of information, even from this conversation, if they wanted to. I don't know why they would feel like we have that kind of value. And you could turn it into whatever you want.
That's right.
And it'll be a fact as you present it, but will it be the truth?
Yes. And so that's kind of what we're going to talk about today in a particular fashion. This show, today's episode, is going to be a little bit political. You know, a lot of times our guests, and thank you guys for joining us, whether you be on TikTok, YouTube, X, Kick, Twitch, whatever platform you might find us on. Thank you for joining us. I see a few of you on there. Queen of Make Do. I see you on there. Stephen Balbani. Thanks for joining us. Craig Poland, Tony Stark, Craig 73. It's good to see you guys. Appreciate you joining us.
Got Iron Man on here this morning. Love that.
Yeah, Iron Man, Tony Stark.
This is runoff election day here in Texas. I don't know if it is where you are. So, yeah, in that same vein, yeah, sure, we'll go a little political today.
So Queen of Make Do says, "Oh, somebody finally figured it out." What do you mean there? What did we? I don't know if we figured out anything, but our topic for the day is going to be a truth, and the truth is, we're going to talk about a pretty big one, a pretty scandalous, sometimes salacious topic that is polarizing in every direction.
Yes.
Okay, and that's the topic of abortion. We're going to talk about abortion. We're going to get into something that a lot of people just kind of steer away from because it seems to be so controversial. Queen of Make Do says, "You would not believe the people that have trouble with my name." Oh, I'm glad I got it right. You make do. Well, that's what we got to do sometimes, huh? Let's see. Janny Wani Wan says, yes, the skeeter is the state bird. It could be here in Texas. We could have a mosquito as our state bird. But anyway, so Queen of Make Do, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you, and thank you for the compliment of letting me know I got your name right. But for those of you in our audience joining us wherever you might be, we probably going to offend some folks today. Queen of Make Do says, man, I've had to make do my whole life except when God takes me to amazing places.
There you go.
Well, that's beautiful. Thank you
is.
for that. So about abortion, I am curious out there in our audience, for those of you joining us, wherever you may be, drop a comment and say, are you pro-life or are you pro-abortion? Which one are you? And if you are pro-abortion, I want to understand your point of view and how you got there. Janny Wani Wan says a 6-pack is a 6-pack of off-brand skeeter spray. Yeah, they do seem to drink it here. There's no question about that. Our mosquitoes are some kind of special genetic strain. We've got some marsh mosquitoes that have these like black legs with little white bands on them, and they're big enough that when you go duck hunting, and I know I digress a little bit, but when you go duck hunting, you can hear them conspiring against you, like off in the reeds, in the marsh grass. You can hear them. They crouch down together and they say, all right, you get his head, I'll get his arms, and you get his feet.
Oh.
And they come over and they pick you up, carry you off. So Queen of Make Do says, I understand that you cannot control evil with legislation, and that is a truth. That is a truth. That's better than a fact.
Yeah.
That is absolute. Nobody can argue that. The choices a man makes inside of his own heart and mind have absolutely nothing to do with the law. The law is just there to give repercussions or results to those choices.
Right. It really is. A law is just preparing for a response. And we can put a demarcation line somewhere in free society. When it gets crossed, there has to be consequence. That's really what a law is for.
You know, Queen of Make Do, I'm so glad you joined us this morning. I really appreciate you being open and honest about what you just said. She says, I'm very much a Christian who is saved, but I have had an abortion. I know what it's like.
Right?
And
Gives
then
you credibility, my friend.
Yes, and thank you for sharing that. Janny Waniwan says, I feel a woman's body, woman's choice, but men usually don't like a woman telling them what to think or do. So I'm going to ask you this, Janny Waniwan, since that's your perspective, a woman's body, a woman's choice, are you proposing then, are you contending that the baby or the whatever you're going to call it is not an independent life force inside of the woman? Is that your contention? Queen of Make Do says there's an amazing radio station called Spirit FM that does a huge outreach to pregnant women. That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Let's see. Melissa, wow, don't answer that question. Which one? The question about the independent life force is the new baby in there? Is that what you're saying? Don't answer that one. Melissa, thanks for joining us. Let's see. So Janny Wani Wan, you said, you made a statement that you feel that a woman's body is a woman's choice. Now, I'll tell you this, since a woman's body is a woman's choice, and I mean, I can go with you on that to an extent. Okay, Janny Wani Wan says it ain't your business what I believe or don't believe. Well, you shared your belief. I'm only responding to what you shared. You're right. You don't have to share anything else. You don't have to participate in the show. You have the freedom to do whatever you want to do. I was just engaging you in conversation.
Yeah.
And Melissa says it's not your business. Colorado Biscuit says, are you MAGA? What does it mean? That's a weird question to ask. Are you MAGA? Is that like a religious preference or a cult or something? I mean, this whole thing where people categorize people like that, I find it kind of disgusting. I really do. Like, whether or not I voted for this president or that president, I don't fit into any category. because I might agree with this one on that and that one on this, and that allows me to practice critical and independent thinking. And I wish that all of us would do that.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, so many people love to put people in these little categories so that they can decide whether they like them or not
Yes.
based on that category.
Yes.
They can make excuses about whether or not they hate someone.
Mm-mm.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. Let's go back. I think it was Colorado Biscuit says, "Are you MAGA?"
Mm.
Well, are you MAGA? And what does that mean exactly? Are you saying that if a person supports Donald Trump, that makes them a certain way? Or are there no variations in people? Like, if you're this way, then you're that. And that makes you discardable in your opinion? I'm just curious, just asking. So,
And for that, on that same line, are you a this or that? Or are you a pretty independent thinking person? Because we sure try to be.
so Kimberly Toothman says, anyone telling you what to do with your body. What about that? You just made that. Melissa says, and why, if you Republican, you're a MAGA? Let's be honest. Okay, I'm being very open and very honest about everything.
Mhm.
I don't agree with everything any particular political party does or stands for. I just don't. But I do know how to think for myself.
Mm-hmm. And when it comes to living in this country and the freedoms that it's provide, we are what you would call constitutional conservatives, meaning we like to conserve what the Constitution originally intended. Because of that, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people who want to uphold that as a value in this country.
Yes.
It is a gift from God to a very select group of probably diverse people. I think there were, men in that particular Congress who put that together. And once they signed it, then at that point we were off on a trajectory into the future. And look at what we have. And this particular year, less than 250 years later, look at what we have.
Yes.
And those, you can call them facts, you can call them results, but there are a lot of truths in there too. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here with this advancement of living and all of its opportunities and all of its ability to influence and persuade. We have that ability, and I'd like to think that came in part from that the construction of that document 250 years ago.
So Duke says, and thank you for joining us. Duke says it's a game. The game is to keep us divided. And that game is that way, that two-party system that the media plays into, and everything on social media and all these different things play into that. Yes, it is a game to keep us divided. It's a game to keep us playing.
Yes.
It's a game to make us pieces on this game table
Yes.
and to keep us moving. Queen of Make Do says, my goal is to be an independent thinker who is able to absolutely critically analyze every statement. I like that.
I
I
do
support
too.
that. Judge,
I do
thank you for
too.
joining us today. Christina, thank you for joining us today. It's good to see you. Melissa, exactly right. And I can influence and persuade many people. Good. That's great. Colorado Biscuit, no, it's good versus evil. So what does that mean? Colorado Biscuit's the one that asked earlier, are you MAGA? So which is good and which is evil by your definition? Let's see. Jeff Lang 52 says, at stepping into the glory realm. Melissa says it's definitely a chess table. It does seem like it at many times. Don Quixote says MAGA remain pariah long after Trump is gone. So what does it mean then? What does it mean? I mean, you're categorizing people, which I don't agree with. You're categorizing people. What does that mean, MAGA? Why are you categorizing them that way? And the show is today about the truth, not about stacking facts. It's about the truth about abortion. And we're looking to openly discuss abortion and the truth about abortion. What is it? Why is it? What are we accomplishing with it? And what is the truth about what is it that's fundamental in a person that says this is a right that I have? And how does it happen inside of us, male and female, that we decide this is not a choice. It's not just a choice. It's a right.
It's a right.
How do we decide that? And then I've got another question for y'all. Okay, so user force a bunch of numbers says, is Alabama really going to pay the coach to leave? Well, we're not talking about that. So Kimberly,
That's a sports
yeah,
cast. Sorry.
I lost you, Kimberly. It scrolled.
While he's scrolling, I want to go back to Colorado Biscuits. So it is good versus evil. And I just noticed, I think you said the judge was on. So one of our pastoral friends could attest that in Ephesians chapter 6, it is the fight against the evil principalities of this world. Well, what does evil like to do to us? It likes to live in lies. Evil lives in lies, and we're talking about the truth today. And so if nothing else, the truth brings light. And if we can be proponents of light, we hope you're a proponent of light. Learn to ask effective questions. Learn to turn the light on.
So JT says it's none of your effing business. Well, you don't have to chime in.
Nope.
Anyone who's willing to discuss it,
Mhm.
it's not a matter of it necessarily being my business.
Yeah.
It's a matter of us inviting people into an open discussion where
Yeah.
people are going to respond in a civil way, unlike the language you just used,
please.
so that we can find common ground and realize that we're probably not as far apart as we think we are. We've just been emotionally charged by people who have motivation to do so.
Yes.
That's the whole point of this discussion. It's not for me to get into your business, JT.
Yeah, if you're ill prepared or unwilling to share, that's fine. That's that you can keep your business to yourself. But there are those that do struggle with this topic. Some because they've gone through early life experiences and now they're struggling to reclaim truth. We appreciate one of our friends mentioning that this morning. And then there's others who struggle with this, maybe even from a political perspective. You know, where do I put my voice? Where do I put my vote? Where do I put my influence? Where do I put my love? If there's folks that they know that are hurting through things like this. I think most of us want to find a way to help as best we can, but we can't do that without pure honesty.
Yeah, and that's why the topic is called the truth. I'm not looking to shame you, blame you, or demonize you for what you've done, where you've been, or what you think. All I'm interested in doing, and all we're interested in doing, is having the open discussion. If we want to argue, we can argue, but we can do it civilly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole point, JT. It's not to get into your effing business. So you can keep your business to
Yes,
yourself and you don't
yes.
have to participate,
No,
and
you
that's
don't.
okay. No one's going to attack you.
Right.
Let's see. Space Madness. Good to see you. Phony Christians supporting Trump while avoiding responsibility. Actually, Space Madness, we're inviting responsibility, accountability, and open discussion. Space Madness says, except you blame homeless for being homeless. Okay.
That sounds like a familiar thing that's been brought up before. Was that you?
Space Madness has brought that up before. Blame the starving for being hungry. JT says, totally agree with you. Oh, I'm sorry. Trump, the con man, says, totally agree with JT. Come on, JT, calm down. Good morning, gentlemen, from Peanut. It's good to see you, Peanut. Thanks for joining. Chris Neal, I've noticed and corrected me, but why doesn't preachers focus on grace much anymore? You know, that's a good question. The good ones do.
Yeah.
They do. Grace is the fundamental component of Christianity. It's the foundation of the whole thing.
Yes, it is.
It's what Christ lived,
That's right.
the embodiment of grace
That's right.
as his walk on this earth for
That's
those
right.
33 years.
Mhm.
He was the embodiment of love and
Yes.
grace.
And mercy too, I might add.
Yeah.
You know, but think of the woman that was caught in the act of adultery that these people wanted to kill because that was their law at the time. And Jesus gave her nothing but grace and mercy. And we hope to do the same with people that we meet because we know how much we've been given grace and mercy, far beyond what we deserve.
So sweet. So what happened to Christians then? That's a great question. I guess, so that's Seahawks 12:1 says, sweet. So what happened to Christians then? So I'm going to make a guess that you're talking about why do Christians not live in grace or with grace, or why do Christians not treat each other gracefully? Maybe that's what you mean, because that's what a lot of people ask a lot of times. And you know, what's fascinating about that is those of us who call ourselves Christians, We are nothing but people who realize we need the hospital. And I'm saying that metaphorically. A church is a hospital. That's all it is. Well, what do you find inside the hospital? Wounded people, sick people, people who need help.
I have a quote I think may help you, and I'll admit it. I took this from one of our Netflix binge watching shows over the weekend. It was raining pretty good, so I said, let's catch up on one of our interests. And this quote came out, and I think it may help you about what happened to Christians. This guy said, "God is perfect. The people who interpret him are not." That, unfortunately, may be the state of the church today.
Wasn't that the truth? So, I've heard it say, I was a cop, and as a cop, one of the things that I learned was one of the worst interpretations of the law is a cop's interpretation of the law.
Mhm.
Because as a police officer, you read the law, you study the law, you understand it for the most part, but then you become immersed into this negative atmosphere, and your outlook becomes jaded,
Oh, yeah.
and you start to interpret everything that you know into that perspective. So then you start to have a terribly skewed application of the interpretation of the law. And it's sad, but that's what happens. And it happened to me.
Mm.
So I can only imagine it happens to others. And that's what happens with Christianity too. Christianity is pure.
Mm-hmm.
In and of itself, it's a pure faith, a pure practice. And all it is the emulation of the behavior of Christ. That's all it is.
Yeah.
The desire to be Christ-like.
Right.
The belief in Christ. That's all. It's really simple. I mean, you can study the Bible until you're blue in the face, but the truth is that's what Christianity is. Christianity's got nothing to do with Catholicism.
Mm-hmm.
It's got nothing to do with being a Methodist or a Church of Christ or a Baptist or a Mormon or any of that stuff.
Right.
None of it. Christ wasn't a Christian. He was a Jew. He
Yeah.
just lived like himself. He lived a perfect life as an example, as a witness to the rest of us. We coined the name Christianity
Mm-hmm.
so that we could emulate him.
That's right. That's what IAN means. It's like. So if we're Christ-like, then we are a Christian. And I can tell you as a counselor, talking about Rob referencing his time in law enforcement, folks come in to my office, and I have to keep some level of hope that we can bring light and thus transformation to whatever it is that they really need to be next, whatever their next purpose is. I have to believe that. Otherwise, I need to be out of business. I need to go be doing something else. And so I hope that whatever you do, you would call a ministry, whether it's your actual profession or something you volunteer for, you keep that same hope because you're dealing with hurting people.
That's right. So Appalachian Girl, thank you for being on the show today. Appalachian Grit, not girl.
Grit.
Sorry. The words are kind of small and they're kind of transparent in the chat, so forgive me. But Appalachian Grit says, he lived radically. And I'm going to assume you're referencing Christ.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, by many standards, back in that day,
Mm-hmm.
he was considered a radical because they were still under Levitical law.
Mm-hmm.
They had to follow these rigid methods and traditions, sacrifice, and all this stuff. And yes, when he came, he was the anointed one, as someone else in the chat already said,
Mm-hmm.
and he was intended to represent the new
Mm-hmm.
covenant, the new agreement, the new contract, the new way of doing things, the new embodiment of grace for
Mhm.
all mankind.
And by Levitical law, what were they supposed to do with him? Do you know? Exactly what they did. That was going to be the non-negotiable conclusion either way. However, if done right, if he did it right, it would change the world. And look at us today.
Hey, Captain 7 America, thanks for joining us. Good to see you again. Katie Weck, do you gentlemen support Donald Trump? Because as a real Christian, I cannot support a man like Trump. Well, I support and have supported every president of the United States with my loyalty to this country, not to the man, with my allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. I don't agree with many policies of every president we've ever had that in my lifetime. I have preferences for some presidents over another. In my lifetime, I will say this, and you don't have to like it. You don't have to agree with me. Of all the presidents that we have had in my lifetime, I have never seen one keep his word more than the one we have now. Ever. Never seen it. I've never seen a man become president and said, I'm going to do this and do it.
Right.
So often. Now, I don't agree with everything he does, but he's kept his word.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to like him, but you can respect that. Now, back to where we were. What is abortion? What is it? What does it mean to you? Okay, KD Weck, can you tell me what fruits of the Spirit I see in him? No, because I don't know him personally. It's not up to me to judge his spirit or his walk in faith. It's not up to me.
Right.
I trust in my God. I trust in the path that my God has set before me to walk, and I walk it by faith.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Did he? So, boats, hose, storage says there ain't no God. Jojo says taking people's money. KD Weck says thanks, gentlemen, but I'm out.
Okay.
All right, Captain Seven America. I support the Bible, American country, citizens, Constitution, freedom, and rights. Amen. I see no negative there. Tony Aguirre, I can't say it. I'm so sorry, Tony, but thank you for being with us. Randy, I've seen all I needed to see. Trump is no good, a complete disaster. G says Christians love to ignore the facts. You guys have a building fund. That's boats and hose. Heather, Trump's Bible. Jojo, millionaire preachers. Who's millionaire preachers?
Oh,
Peanut, we are supposed to be learning forgiveness and love. Why is everyone having an issue with that? That's a great question, Peanut. I love your attitude and I love your positivity. Thank you. Oh, Jojo says Joel Osteen. Yeah. So, and the truth is that there are a lot of public figures who call themselves this or represent themselves to be that, and they make a lot of money off of emotional people. And that's tragic when they do it in a way that they claim to represent all of Christianity. And that they will be held accountable for in their next life.
Yes.
It's unfortunate. I can't get behind that behavior.
Right.
So I don't have an answer for anybody else's heart. But I can tell you that those sorts of fruits are definitely not of Christian origin. Kevin Broader says that's what the church does. What's that? Let's see. The chat goes kind of fast. Yeah, Andrea says Joel Osteen inherited everything he has. He inherited the momentum that he had, and he built on it. And then he made some choices that weren't the greatest. Now he's still making money, and I hope that in some way, somehow, he is building God's kingdom, not just his own.
Yeah.
Let's see. Chris Neal, there is a God. 3 things need to happen. Space, time, matter, all 3 in the first 6 words. Genesis 1. Pretty true there. Peanut says they have to change and bring Jesus into their hearts. Amen to that. Good job, Peanut. I will always respect both for coming on here and speaking and answering questions. Thank you, Captain Seven America. Andrea, it's good to see you on here. Faux Real TX. Oh, my favorite flat earthers. You're always cracking me up, Faux Real. Andrea says Jesus Christ is Lord. Amen. We agree with you on that.
Yes.
The servant saved by grace. Paula White, I can't stand. All right. Religion and grammar. Okay, Boats and Hose says religion and grammar, not a mix. I don't understand, but okay. Nuru Muwaguzi
Whoa.
327 says, you judge Joel Osteen and say people are judging Trump. No, I didn't judge Joel Osteen. I judged some of the public behaviors that have come to light. I have no judgment of him. I don't know where his heart is.
No.
I said, I hope that he's building the kingdom of God
Yes.
and not just his own.
Yes.
And that's the truth. I really hope that.
Right.
I hold no ill will towards Joel Osteen. Let's see. So, Buck Flax says, I got an offer to do Playgirl magazine and I did it. Did you go under the name of Mike Honcho? That's great. That's great. Golly.
We don't need evidence.
God bless you both, your families and friends, and all you and all that you love and care for. Thank you, Captain
you.
Seven
You
America.
too.
Same
Thank
to you, brother. All right. We really need to understand the definition of judgment. And that's great. That's a great thing to talk about. And it has, I mean, it could actually be germane to the designated topic of the show today.
Sure.
The topic being truth and the connection to that truth being abortion. So judgment. What does it mean to be judgmental or to have judgment?
Mm-hmm.
Well, first and foremost, you have to understand that we are required to practice and learn good judgment.
Mm-hmm.
We're required to. You do it every day. You're doing it right now, whether or not you participate in this chat. And so the definition of judgment just means to learn how to make choices between this and that.
A synonym that you might want to look up on your own is the word discriminant.
Yeah.
Which has been misused in our society, but it really just means to be judicious, to be decisive. Did you know in the 50s that was put in car advertisements with Cadillac? Cadillac, the car for the discriminate buyer. Yeah, so they knew how to look at quality versus non. So I look at judgment the same way. And it's not of persons. I don't get that right because I sure don't want that coming back. That was told to me in Scripture. Judge not, lest you be. But I do look at choices. I do, and it could be anything from food to the vehicle that I buy. It could be where I buy my gas. Those are all parts of the judgment process. Our responsibility is to get more mature at it.
And a good example of this, he gave some great examples of using judgment every day, all day. Just everything you're doing is using judgment. But then the difference is we are charged, especially as Christians, but I think most faith-based practices actually teach similar. But the way that Christ exemplified this was when the woman was brought to him in adultery by all these guys, right? He brought all these guys brought her in there, and I'm gonna paraphrase the story, but all these dudes are like, "Look at her, she's a slut. Look at her, we caught her." They didn't bring the guy, they just brought her.
Right.
And you have to imagine that she was in some state of nakedness
Probably.
because they caught her in the act. They
Yeah.
brought her before Jesus, and Jesus, in his behavior, in his grace, in his love for all mankind, he didn't even look at her because he didn't want her to feel judged.
Right.
Isn't that amazing? He wouldn't even look up. He just dabbled in the dirt. And he spoke to the guys that brought her and he said, look, the first one of you that didn't commit the same sin, I'm paraphrasing, throw the first rock at her, because that was the punishment. If you're caught in adultery back then, you get stoned. But he said, you who's without sin, that one throws the first rock. And he sat there for a couple of minutes. In my imagination, that's what I see happening. He sits there, and as they all leave, and he still doesn't look up. And he asks the woman, this is the first time he talks to her, and doesn't shame her. And he says, woman, where are the people who accused you? Where are all your accusers? And he says, she says, and I'm paraphrasing again, they all ran off. And he says, well, I don't have any judgment for you. I don't have any accusation for you. I don't have any shame for you. Now go and get out of here and don't do that again. That's what he told her in good old, Southeast Texas Southern translation. That's what he said. Get on out of here and don't do that again.
Yep.
That was it.
That was it.
Now, that's not judgmental. That was grace. That was love.
He literally said, and neither do I judge you.
Yes. Go and don't do that again.
Right.
He showed her the biggest love probably that any man had ever showed her before.
Likely.
And he didn't even touch her.
Right.
And she was brought to him in the most probably disgusting state of affairs that you could imagine, you know.
Right.
And that's how he responded.
Right.
Man, I wish I could be more like that.
No kidding. A couple things in that story I always find fascinating. The first thing is they were arguing with Jesus that they had the right to kill her. Why didn't they just go ahead and do it? This is not a parable. This is true. This happened. Why? I mean, why didn't they just pull her out of the house, throw her against the wall, and kill her? Because evidently they had that right, and they could have been exonerated by anybody who may have thought differently. But instead, they brought her to Jesus and basically try to convince him, hey, we have the right to do this. And as if they were threatening him, try and stop us. And you know how he stopped them? He stopped them by asking a simple question. And the other component of that, it says that they dropped their stones, starting with the oldest. Now, the oldest among us, and if you're in our range, we should be the we should be the wisest. We should know more than anybody else how much grace and mercy we've already received. And those old men knew it, and the young ones eventually had to follow. So why are we stoning people in our society, friends? Why are we doing that?
So Chris Neal brings up something really cool, and Chuck and I have had a little bit of discussion about this. Chris Neal, thanks for being here today. We're glad to see you. He says he brings up the Samaritan woman at the well. And, you know, the Samaritan woman, I'll bring you, this is really cool. You know, she was the first evangelist. The Samaritan woman, a woman, was the first evangelist for Christ. Isn't that crazy?
Yep.
Did you ever notice that in the Bible? Chuck, was it you that pointed that out to me?
Yes, and it was pointed out to me, and I thought, that's true. Of all the people who have been following Jesus up until that point, she's the only one that ran back to her community and started sharing the gospel immediately that day.
That's
She
right.
was the first evangelist.
So it's pretty fascinating to me that Jesus, throughout his life, he did things like somebody else in the chat way earlier said he was a radical. He did things that were so irreverent.
Yes.
They were considered, just like you said, radical. And that would have been a radical thing.
Right.
There were no women priests in Levitical law.
Right.
There were no women rabbis.
Right.
That wasn't a thing. But Jesus said, oh, check this out.
I'm going to make one.
I'm going to fill her with the word and send her off.
And see what happens next.
And he did it so simply.
Yes.
He did it so honorably. And there was no fanfare. There was it wasn't a big deal. He just said, hey, go tell somebody else. Like, I'm paraphrasing, of course, but that's basically what happened. He gave her the good news, filled her with the gospel, and he said, hey, go tell some folks. You know, that was it.
Mhm.
He commissioned her as an evangelist.
There you go.
How crazy is that? Ordained her as a preacher, commissioned her as an evangelist, and sent her out into the community to spread
That's
the good
it.
word.
That's it.
So,
All for the price of a drink of water.
yeah. That's right. Colorado Biscuit says women are blessed and highly favored in the Bible. That's correct.
They are.
That is absolutely the truth.
Yeah, they are.
And Kimberly Mitchell says, Jesus Christ is so amazing. I love the way you said is, not was. That is beautiful. Thank you for that. Mary Lynn, it's good to see you. Muhammad, it's good to see you. Any of you who would love to chime in on the abortion issue, that's what we were talking about, the truth about abortion. I have a real serious question about that topic. How did it become such an important topic in American media? How did it become a politically charged topic? How did it become a weapon to be used as election material? How did that happen? Does anybody know? I'm just curious because it's an agenda. But what's the agenda?
Right.
What was the agenda behind it? Because there had to be an origin. Okay, so what was the scheme or the goal behind it? Colorado Biscuit says because men want to control women's bodies. I don't think that's what it was. Keto Boss Annie says, if you look up the history of it. So if you look up anything, I'm going to just throw this out there.
Mhm.
Whatever you find on the internet is just what else somebody else has written.
Referring to as the facts that for them, facts, but is a truth.
So Chris Neal says inner city girls getting pregnant at a young age and not wanting to tend to the child. I'm going to tell you something else is a fascinating thing that a lot of people don't realize. Abortions actually were, some of their origin was in Indian population, Native Americans. It was, they were sterilizing males and females and aborting their babies.
Wow.
As a form of population control. This is, a long time ago. It's sad to see how low your careers are.
Mm.
Whose careers? That's the Sean Kaiser. Let's see. Keto Boss Annie says, wow, just making up fake news, says Deshaun Kaiser. Cat we, because Satan starts the unborn and the lost. Lord will always have the glory. Timothy Rosado says, actually, a woman took this to court 51 years ago because she wanted to control her own body. So I'm going to ask you this. Since you said that, where'd it go? I lost you. Oh, Cat we. No, that wasn't you. Timothy Rosado. So what happens at the moment of conception? I'm serious. I want to know what you think about this. What is the science, just the science of what happens at the moment of conception? Timothy Rosado, that question is to you. Let's see. Life begins. Too Tall says life begins. So if Timothy's not going to respond, so let's see. The egg is fertilized and there is a bright light. Yeah, that's absolute truth. Isn't that amazing that at the point of conception, there is light? And at the beginning of creation, there was light. I think that is beautiful. Thank you for pointing that out, Keto Boss Annie. Lee, it's good to see you, Lee. Thanks for joining us today. Kevin Loeffler, it's good to see you. Timothy, an egg and sperm unite, just like a farm animal. Okay, great. So when the egg and the sperm unite and conception happens, then what? What is the result next, Timothy? Catwee says, God is light. Very true. God is love. God is light. Laurie Z, it's good to see you. Too Tall. Life, yes. Swimming with Sharks says, is heaven an actual physical place? Keto Boss Annie says, meiosis or division. Yes. Kimberly Mitchell says, life begins. Kat Wee says, life begins. Donna, it's good to see you. So the reason I'm asking this question is people who think they depend on the science or they use science as their argument. Here we go. Timothy says, the zygote grows just like most other animals. So Timothy, what's a zygote? And particularly in the human species, what is that? Zygote, as you say. What is that? Let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, Swimming with Sharks. What was your question? Let me see if I can find it. I must have missed it. The chat moves kind of fast. Oh, is heaven a physical place? You know, that's a great question. I don't honestly know how to answer that. The Bible says that heaven is a place that we'll go.
When Jesus says, I go to prepare a place for you, I have to presume it either is a location or it is a state of being.
Or a dimension.
Or a dimension. You know, and gets into the weeds a little bit, but there are those that believe that we're just a thin veil from another side. And
sorry, Swimming with Sharks. I didn't mean to skip your question.
So don't have a perfect answer. I'm just going with the words that were used in Scripture when he says he's going to prepare a place.
That's right. Hey, Deputy Dreamer, it's good to see you today. What's going on, Edgar? Chris Neal says, a soul is created. God's church is being developed. Keto Boss says it's a baby. Carrie Annie 76 says, life begins and there is a soul. Those are great answers.
They sure are.
Too Tall. In my Father's house are many mansions. Yes. All right. So you guys are great. Thank you for all the engagement.
Mhm.
I want to ask you, Timothy. I don't know where you went. If you're still in the show, I hope you are, and I want your input on this. What species is that zygote? Amen, Edgar. Edgar wants to go to heaven and become a citizen.
Yes.
But while you wait, let's make you a citizen here. Let's get that done. Good job, Edgar.
Oh, every
Thank you.
time. Thank you,
That's
brother.
great.
Yep.
He always on it.
He's
he
on
figured
it.
out a way to keep that connection.
That's right.
That's awesome.
So the question was, what species is that zygote?
What species is it?
Anybody?
And then the next curiosity is it alive? I know what I believe, and I know what a lot of you in the chat believe, but I'm asking Timothy. And so I've heard the argument given that, and Chuck and I talked about this just a little bit before the show. Yeah, Carrie Annie says you're already a citizen of heaven when you believe. There you go, Edgar. You don't need no green card for that, brother.
No,
So-
you're in.
So anyway, back to where I
You can
was.
stay.
Right. So what I want to ask is there's an argument out there among a certain political faction that says that because the baby or because the zygote or because the cells, whatever it may be, can't survive outside the mother's body, it's not viable. Therefore, it's her choice to kill it. That's the argument I've heard made many, many times. Okay. Joseph Strafarian Rivas, it's good to see you today. The doctor, Laurie Z, it's good to see you. So, since it can't survive outside, since the new life, clump of cells, zygote, embryo, whatever you want to call it, fetus, all these names that we give it, since it can't survive outside the mother's body, that gives the mother the right to kill it. So let me ask you guys something. This is reality, okay? This is not a movie set. We're not talking about fantasy.
Right.
Can any one of you, and I mean just any one of you, survive on your own without the rest of humanity, completely alone? Can you? Because I'm going to argue that you cannot. As a species, we are dependent upon one another for our very survival. So with that being the case, who gets to choose who kills who from this body of humanity? Whose right is it to choose? Well, I don't like the way you look. You're an inconvenience to me.
You can go.
I get to kill you.
There you go.
So how do you justify it then, Timothy? You do realize that God provides the most abortions. It's called a miscarriage. That's true. But that's not us making the choice to kill the life,
Right.
Timothy. How do you square with the concept that you can't survive on your own without the rest of humanity? Is it then humanity's simple choice? They don't need a reason. They could just choose convenience to kill you if they don't like you. Is that okay? Because it's the same argument.
Yes.
That's right. Keto Boss Annie says people need other people.
Yes.
Rhonda Shelton says no. No what, Rhonda? Thank you for your involvement
Right.
today.
And as Too Tall was referencing scriptures, we're all members of one body. That's been mentioned several times throughout the
Timothy
Gospels.
Rosado says, my body, my choice. Well, that's the same argument that I'm giving you. Humanity is a body of people. It is one body. You don't have to like the rest of the parts of the body, but the truth is we need each other.
Mm-hmm.
If you took the rest away and left one alone, that one would not survive, could not survive on its own.
Right.
So with that argument, that means that the rest of us, anytime we want to, Timothy, we could just arbitrarily decide, well, that one I don't like so much, or that one's in my way. So I can take that one out.
Right.
That one doesn't deserve to live. Well, it's my body, my choice.
Yeah.
Then there's no, like,
Yeah. And my body doesn't want them here. Are we creating an inhumane society? Think about that. Think about that. It's starting in the action of the unborn. Is that now starting to permeate into how we see other people? Think about the value of life that is now causing numerous murders and other types of other harmful behaviors because people ingratiate themselves with this arrogance that I now have the power, the choice whether you live or not. And do I? And is that its own version of evil? Because we survive because light still shines in this world. And if we're not honoring that light, there's only one other thing to honor.
The darkness. So Patricia Smith, 2907, thanks for being a part of the show today. I can tell you from experience that every baby conceived is a life. And Keto Boss Annie says, genetic problems, sometimes the pregnancy will end because it would have been not sustainable later. And see, that's not the same thing.
That's right.
That's not a human and our free will deciding to kill it.
Right.
That's the problem. That we have decided that we know what's best. We know better than God. We know better than our Creator. We have placed ourselves above God and said that we know when life is valuable or when it is not.
Right. Do you remember that story? It's kind of relates to the Tower of Babel, Babel, however you want to pronounce it. And that mankind became so arrogant, they thought they could build a tower to God. And they brought in the best of engineers and material and what have you. And God looked down and said, this cannot happen. Their own arrogance will become their own destruction. And so he changed their languages, threw them into confusion, and basically they got a bit of a restart. And then it happened again at the flood. So think about that, friends. If we are that arrogant that we can choose whether this explosion of life that's happening on a microscopic level is under our power, are we really that God like?
So Swimming with Sharks says, what about those born that become murderers? Well, how do you know? How do you predict that a person will become a murderer?
Yeah.
That's a big stretch.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Is that a nature or is that a nurture thing?
Both.
Mm-hmm.
Timothy Rosado says, you are spewing arrogance.
Mm.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
Okay.
Journey of a Southern Queen. Some people don't trust in faith of a mustard seed. Some don't trust in the faith of a mustard seed. And that all things work out for the great. Laurie Z says Jeremiah 1:5. Let's see. Timothy Rosado says, how old is life on Earth? Well, I honestly don't know how to answer. I don't know how old life is on Earth. I don't trust carbon dating. I'll tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
If carbon dating was the truth, it wouldn't vary so much on the scale. Well, it's between 15 million and 3,000 years old.
Right.
Well, that's really accurate.
Especially since they find things like, for example, these buried under these mounds like Göbekli Tepe, and they realize that it's tens of thousands of years old. Well, somebody built it, and so, but I know that scripture says that there are many heavens and many earths. Maybe there's been many restarts for all we know. And I thank God, that's a prayer, not a swear. I thank God for the Jesus he gave this current incarnation of
So
man.
Swimming with Sharks says, what if fate is predetermined? Well, I believe that our will is a gift from God. It is the thing that differentiates us from all other creation.
That's right.
We have free will. We don't operate with instinct alone.
No.
We don't operate by the same rules
Right.
that other creatures do. We can impact and change our direction and our fate
Yes.
according to our will. The best performance that we will ever find is when we align our will with our Creator's purpose and pursue that.
That's right.
But that's when we align our will. I believe that there is a plan for each and every one of our lives, that we are built to complement each other, that we are built to build, that we're built to create.
Mm-hmm.
But I also believe that through the the power of free will and choice, we don't have to pick that up. We can go the other way.
Right. And we're also built to cooperate and cohabitate. And so, but that's only the ether between those relations. That's love. I sure hope you're pursuing that.
Keto Boss Annie says, choosing to walk with him, capital him, and have a relationship. Yes. And then we have Timothy Rosato again. Dinosaurs are over 65 million years old. So you are choosing to be willfully ignorant. No, actually, I'm choosing not to believe carbon dating because it's a man-made, inconsistent form of aging.
Mm-hmm.
I believe dinosaurs are old.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at the evidence, it also presents that mankind and dinosaurs cohabitated.
That's right.
So I don't know.
And to give you one on top of that, when they call things like crude oil fossil fuels, that's not true. It's actually its own source from in the earth. It has nothing to do with dead dinosaurs dying in a pit and make oil. That's not how it happens.
Oh, we would have run out of that a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So no, this is a very gifted planet for our prosperity. To do what? To pursue his will.
Hold on now. Brian asked an amazing question. This is an intellectual question, and we have got to get to the bottom of it. Thank you, Brian, for bringing this up. I've wanted to know this since I was a child. Brian asks, did Adam have a belly button?
Ooh.
Did Eve have a belly button? And Adam, if you really want to get crazy, Brian, this is another funny one. Adam's the only man in all of mankind that has or ever will have been able to create another human from his own body. So
just can't argue with the logic, can you, Brian?
That's a great question, though, Brian. I asked my youth pastor that when I was a kid, and I never got a good answer.
I mean, if you read the scripture, he wasn't an embryonic creation.
It was really funny because my youth pastor said, well, he had to. And I was like, well, why did he have to? And my youth pastor said, well, so he'd look good in a bathing suit.
Or with fig leaves.
A bathing fig leaf.
a bathing suit of fig leaves.
So Timothy says oil doesn't come from dead dinosaurs. It's billions of years of plant life that has decomposed. I actually don't agree with that either. I believe that our planet produces oil from deep inside the planet.
Yes. That's
why the deeper and deeper we drill, the more we find, because the planet's actually creating it. It's part of its, like we have blood, oil is the part of the life force of planet Earth.
Did you know that we've drilled out a lot of these cavities and now we've actually gone back and refilled them as part of our strategic reserve? And when they started refilling, they found that that cavity was actually refilling itself. Where's that oil coming from? Well, it's not coming from dead plant life. It's coming from inside the earth. It creates its own oil. It's beautiful.
Deputy Dreamer says, I'm going to be pissed if I see Adam and Eve in heaven because who everything through them.
Oh.
Keto Boss Annie says, have you heard the rib he had made Eve, and the rib was where Christ was spread? Kind of interesting. That is fascinating. Some bing bongs. Can you explain how carbon dating is false in any other than just claiming it? I didn't claim it was false. I said it's inaccurate. I don't think it's false. I think there are too many variations that it's not consistent.
Right.
I don't trust it. I don't say that it's false. It's just not accurate.
Right. It could probably help in a lot of cases, like maybe get close. I don't perfectly know how it works. I know that they found an old civilization in Peru that was buried under a mountain. And so whatever it was, they buried it and they left, or maybe there were some floods buried it. I don't know. So they found it and they kept digging it. All they were finding were just rocks, a few artifacts with just rocks. Finally, they found a basket, a woven basket, and that's the closest they could get. And they still had kind of a margin of error. So inaccurate is the better word I think Rob used.
Yeah. So Swimming with Sharks says, you make all these claims, then dismiss scientific facts. I didn't make any claims. I regurgitate information that I find through research. If I get interested in a topic, sometimes I'll obsessively research it and gather as much information as I can from various sources, and then come to the closest logical conclusion that I can come to. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily facts. It's just what I've uncovered.
Right.
If you don't like anything I say, you don't have to. You don't have to agree with it. It doesn't hurt my feelings at all.
That's right.
And you also don't have to participate. It's totally okay. As one of our other audience guests so well articulated earlier, it's not any of my effing business. So you may continue on your life, and I promise we will all get along just fine, you included. So let's see. Peanut says, listen to his words closer. Swimming with Sharks. What books other than the Bible have you read? A lot. I read somewhere between 200 and 300 books a year. Let's see. Carrie Annie 76. Some people believe in the Big Bang Theory. Big Bang don't created DNA. Chris Neal, terms of evolution. Sure, it's very plausible that God used the Big Bang Theory as a part of it. Anything's plausible. Patricia Smith, true science is backed up by the Bible. And that is true.
Yep.
In fact, almost every atheist that has gone down the rabbit hole of comparing scientific research with biblical phenomenon has come to the same conclusion, i.e. Darwin. So many of them have come to the undeniable truth that the Bible is true and accurate. Daddy of Dragons says, LOL, not at all. Timothy says, we have 8 billion people on earth and millions starving. Why does God let that happen? Well, the fascinating thing, and we referenced this already, was that man has free will. Mankind has the ability to make choices that are either creative or oppressive. And many of us on this nation have created oppressive circumstances for ourselves and our communities.
Yep.
In fact, each of us individually do it throughout the day. And what you're seeing in other areas are people that are living outside of the will of God. And that's why they are in the state that they're in.
That's right.
It is not God's will for any of us to live in a place of lack.
That's right.
God's kingdom is nothing but abundance. As evidence to support that, you don't see any bird wake up in the morning and be like, oh, man, I'm going to starve today. I don't know where I'm going to get my food. I didn't plant anything. I didn't grow anything. I don't have any money. No. They wake up happy, start singing, go out, find their food.
Right.
And when they get tired, they go rest. But you don't see birds stressed.
No, you don't.
You don't see them with anxiety.
Right.
They just sing and keep going.
Right.
So anyway,
they eat and then they date.
Chris Neal says, do you punish your kids when you get angry at them for wrongdoing? Okay, God does the same to his kids. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and, Chris, I'm going to talk to you about what you said there, because I like that you said it. Thank you for that. I punish my kids as an instruction so that they can have a better life later. That's why I punish my kids. I don't punish them when I'm angry at them.
No.
I punish them to prevent them from having a bad life, from developing bad practices, from creating bad habits for themselves, bad behavior for themselves, or physically harming themselves.
Right.
That's why I punish them.
Right.
Not because I'm angry, because I want them to have a better life.
Right.
Now, they make me angry, but I work my best not to punish them because I'm angry.
Correct.
Let's see. Keto Boss Annie says, so glad you're on here. Thank you. Carrie Annie 76. If I don't listen to God, he gives me a good thumping right on the noggin. That does happen sometimes. Timothy Rosado says, so innocent children that weren't aborted should be able to starve. Wow. That a kind God. Big Daddy says the kids these days, you can punish them by taking their cell phones. Chris Neal says, well, angry was bad terminology. Sorry. No, it's not. I didn't want you to be sorry. I only used your statement as an example. You didn't say anything wrong.
Right.
You just said what you felt in the moment. You're not wrong.
I have just a few minutes left, but I also have a comment about the starving comment that's come up a couple of times. Every one of us that are definitely pre-adult, definitely adult, we all operate based on our problem-solving abilities. Whether you're a carpenter, whether you're a counselor, whether you're in the medical business, you're solving problems. And if hunger is a problem, maybe that's put to us to solve. Just because it's on a graduated scale where life may be more threatened doesn't mean it's any more minimal than the person who just needs some custodial help around their house. Because that just seems so easy, it doesn't seem to compare. Actually, it does compare. It's like loss. You can lose because you wound your body, or you can lose because you lost a loved one. It's still a loss. So if you are that concerned about poverty in the world, and we're not concerned about it, we're concerned, but we do the best we can through the resources that we have. Apply your resources. Work to solve the problem. Maybe that's why there are problems in this world for those of us to address.
So Colorado Biscuit says, but if you're a Christian, shouldn't you be able to pray for food and receive it? I'm going to answer that with this. I love the question. It's a great question. The truth is, the food's already yours. If you don't have it, pray for more faith. Pray for action. Take action. Take responsibility for your own life. Don't sit back and blame and point your finger upward at the sky at a big, mean God that isn't taking care of you.
Wait for it to come to you.
Our Creator empowered us with the ability to take care of ourselves. 100%. We don't need a government to take care of us. We don't need a neighbor to take care of us. We need to take care of ourselves. And then we can, and we ought to look around us for those less fortunate and help them too.
Right.
Because by helping them, we are blessed. Not because they deserve it, not because we're bound to do it, but because we want to do it.
Right.
Because it's the desire of your heart that when you find yourself in that place of true abundance, that you have so much, you can give without hurting yourself.
I don't know if you've ever lived in a natural disaster area. We have multiple times. And I promise you, from the moment that we know that the issue is coming and beyond, people put aside so many things that people even on this show and other shows want to call differences. They put those aside, and nobody goes hungry and nobody goes homeless. We do the best we can, even if it's temporary operations, until we can do better. I promise you that happens. We've worked it firsthand. So if you have that much of a passion for that subject, that is your calling. Get on it.
Hey, Kevin Bailey, it's great to see you. Glad you joined us again today. This would be our last comment to respond to, because we've got other obligations that we're committed to. But Swimming with Sharks says, praying is just wishing. There's zero evidence praying actually resulted in any change. That is 100% false.
That's right.
The truth is that praying without faith, praying without belief, is worthless.
Yes.
If you pray asking for something, and in the back of your mind or in the front of your mind or wherever, you don't really believe that it's going to happen in the first place, then your prayer is just a wish.
That's right.
And that's worthless.
That's right.
But prayer with faith, believing that not only can it happen, but it will happen. Those prayers require action. Those require you to show your faith by moving towards what you're praying about. And the other thing is, it's not on us. It's not our behavioral way to just pray when we want or need something.
Right.
How selfish is that?
Right.
I start my day praying with gratitude, thanking my Creator for another opportunity to live. I thank Him for my wife, my life, my family, this show, for you, for each of you that join our audience every time we do this. I thank Him for the world that I live in. I thank Him for being able to be a citizen of the greatest country on the face of this earth, because I know that there are people who were born here or brought here at such an early age, they don't get the privilege of being the citizen yet.
Right.
and they dearly want it. But I can tell you that prayer without faith and prayer without gratitude is nothing more than wishing.
Right.
It's worthless.
Right.
So,
Maybe even in some sense of entitlement.
yeah,
So what changed in that prayer that Rob was referencing? Rob changed. And he does it a little bit every day, a little bit every day. Now, as men of faith, we believe God's going to make that small difference and do great things with it. We believe that. But I can tell you, you said it doesn't make a difference. It made a difference in him. Every morning he gets up and he does that. And I know many of you on the call do that every day. Thank you. You are bringing a spirit into this world that is keeping this world in light. Thank you for doing that.
well, guys, it's been a wonderful show. Thank you so much for being a part of our audience today. Thank you for allowing us to become a part of the pursuit of your purpose. And thank you for becoming a part of the pursuit of our purpose. I'm Rob,
I'm Chuck.
and we will see you guys next week here at 10 o'clock. Y'all have a great week.
Question everything.